Empire.
Welcome to Inside the Cap. I'm your host, Joel Corey. You can find me on Twitter at Corey Joel. That's CORRYJOEL. You can also read my regular CBSSports.com column, Agents Take on NFL Salary Cap and Contract Matters. This time around, we're going to take a look at the new contract for Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts and the impact it's going to have on the quarterback market. This morning, it was reported that Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts agreed to a 5-year, $255 million contract extension, which averages $51 million per year. This makes him the NFL's highest paid player by average yearly salary. He joins Aaron Rodgers in the $50 million per year club. Rodgers was the highest paid player on a 3-year contract averaging $50,271,667 per year. There's $110 million fully guaranteed at signing, and the total guarantees are $179.304 million. Now, the $110 million fully guaranteed at signing is the third most ever in a contract. Obviously, there's Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed contract at $230 million, which is number one. The extension Russell Wilson signed right before the start of the regular season last year, early September, had $124 million fully guaranteed at signing. Now, the $179.34 million in overall guarantees, that is the second most in NFL contract, obviously behind Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed contract. Previously, second place had belonged to Russell Wilson with $165 million. Kyler Murray had $160 million, which was in overall guarantees. By that I mean what's guaranteed for injury that can become fully guaranteed. Now, in Murray's case, there was another $29.5 million, which did not have any injury guarantees, that could become completely secure at some point in time during the latter years of the contract. That would mean the amount that could be guaranteed would be $189.5 million. If you're going to apply that standard to it, then we're going to have to say that Russell Wilson has $205 million, not $165 million, just because of the way his 2026 base salary works. There was $5 million that becomes guaranteed for injury, becomes fully guaranteed on the 5th day of the 2025 league year, and any 1 year with 6% play time and some other conditions, where the whole $40 million base salary in 2026 could become fully guaranteed if he satisfies certain conditions. So $165 million, as far as I'm concerned. Wilson was second place, Murray third place, $160 million. Now Hurts is second place. So tremendous contract for Jalen Hurts. Hurts was a 2020 second round pick. He was heading into the final year of his contract. He was scheduled to make $4.304 million, which consisted of a $4.204 million base salary and a $100,000 workout bonus. His cap number was scheduled to be $4,789,486. Now, some of the other things that have been reported about this deal was, one, he has a no-trade clause, which is kind of almost standard fare with some of these high-end contracts, although Aaron Rodgers does not have a no-trade clause. It's the first one the Eagles have ever given out. His signing bonus is $23.294 million. The expectation is he's going to have a league minimum base salary. Now, assuming I haven't seen the contract, so assuming that's accurate, then if you have this $23.294 $23.294 million signing bonus, and his base salary drops to his league minimum of $1.01 million, that means his cap number will be raised by $1,364,800 because the signing bonus of $23.294 million gets prorated for the first 5 years, 2023, 24, 25, 26, 27, and the proration in each of those years, $4,658,800, and that means his new cap number is going to be $6,154,286. Now, if you take that signing bonus and give minimum base salary, which was what one of the reports said, that means he's going to be making $24.304 million in 2023, and he was supposed to make $4.304 million. That means he's getting $20 million in new money this year. Something else that was reported, that he has $6 million in new money through the first new year, in cash through the first new year. That means that his second year, that means he's going to be making $44 million next year. Now, I haven't seen the contract. Probably by the end of the week, I will. Once someone has it, the full structure is going to be reported. But there's a certain way Philadelphia does contracts, particularly at the high end. Every team has a DNA or signature print on how they structure contracts. Now, I would be shocked if the Eagles did not use a double option bonus structure with Jalen Hurts' extension. That's become Philadelphia's preferred structure with lucrative extensions of rookie contracts. That is the structure they used with A.J. Brown's contract, that they did with him when he was traded last year during the first round of the NFL draft from the Tennessee Titans. They used it with Dallas Goedert when he was in his middle of his contract year, and they extended him after Zach Ertz was traded. It is what they did with Jordan Mailata, and it's what they did with Josh Sweat. So, knowing that he's got a $44 million as his compensation in 2024, we can deduce what his cap number should be in 2024 with this double option bonus structure. So, we know that he's got already $4,658,800 signing bonus proration for 2024 regardless. Now, typically what they'll do is they'll give you your league minimum base salary and the rest in the option bonus. An option bonus is treated like signing bonus on the salary cap beginning in the year that the option will be exercised. Typically, the window for the first option is the first through the 10th day of the 2024 league years when the option has to be exercised to pick up a later year in the contract. This contract runs through 2028, so probably to pick up the 2027 contract year. And the second option in 2025 be to pick up the 2028 contract year. So next year, Hurts' league minimum base salary is going to be $1.125 million, which suggests to me the option bonus would be $42.875 million, which would be prorated 2024, 25, 26, 27, and 28. Now, even though the options haven't been picked up, the presumption is that they will, so you prorate through the option years. So right now you're prorating 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, the signing bonus, even though 2027 is probably the first option year. Now they may, what Philadelphia does, as well as they stick voiding dummy years at the end of contracts as well. What they'll do is that gives them the right to kick the can down the road, and they kick the can down the road better than anybody else, along with the Saints, so when they do a salary conversion. But 2024 cap number should be his $1.125 million base salary, $4,658,800 in signing bonus proration, and option bonus proration of $8.575 million, which means his cap number should be $14,358,800 in 2024. Now, what's going to happen in this type of structure is the cap numbers are going to be relatively low in 2023, 24, and 2025. The 2023 cap number is only going up by $1,364,800 if the reports are accurate. having a cap number under 14.5 next year, pretty good for a starting quarterback. And then you'll probably have a jump in the cap number in 2025 because you're going to have two sets of proration already built into the process. But still, it's going to be a fairly manageable cap number. And we'll look at A.J. Brown as an example of how this works. A.J. Brown has minimum base salaries in 22, 23, and 2024 in his contract. His signing bonus was $23,234,471. And option bonus for this year to pick up an option for his 2027 year. So they stuck voiding dummy years, so maybe it's going to be picking up 29 and 30 for Hurts instead of 27 and 28. But option bonus at $10.17 million. Second option bonus next year, $19.125 million. But Hurts' cap number in 2022, $5,685,614. Cap number in 2023, $8,318,894. Cap number in 2024, $12,428,894. Cap number in 2025, that's where the jump starts. $26,553,894. Then a bigger jump in 2026, $41,553,895. So I suspect you're going to see not necessarily these numbers, but the concept. Low cap number for Hurts, obviously this year. Low cap number next year relative for quarterback in 2024. Cap number 2025 gets bigger, but still going to be manageable. First big jump is 2026, then a bigger jump in 2027, and then 2028. Brown did a 4-year extension as opposed to the 5 that Hurts did. Now, there are also reported to be $15 million of incentives in the contract. Now, I suspect that they're not incentives, but salary escalators, because the Eagles, for the most part, do salary escalators, rarely do incentives. Now, when Carson Wentz signed his deal, I think that was 2019, I believe it was, when Carson Wentz signed his deal, it had $16 million in salary escalators. Hurts has $15 million of upside, which means the new money average can be as high as $54 million. It's 51, but if you hit everything, it's $54 million. Now, I'm assuming the upside for Wentz may have been a model for the upside, which is in Hurts' contract, which we'll find out. He had $5 million in escalators, which were based on him being MVP or NFL Offensive Player of the Year. He had another $6 million in Pro Bowl escalators, and then he had another $5 million in playtime and Super Bowl escalators, where he had to play 70% of playtime in the regular season, and the Eagles had to win the Super Bowl. So probably has, I wouldn't be surprised if that was really what the upside was based off of, and its incentives as opposed to escalators. Now, it's a 5-year extension. I thought that Hurts might go for a 4-year extension as opposed to a 5-year extension. 4-year extensions used to be the norm for quarterback deals pre-Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes did a 10-year extension when he had 2 years left on his rookie contract in 2020. The year before, you had Russell Wilson do a 4-year extension when he became the highest paid player with the Seahawks in his contract year. You had Aaron Rodgers become the first $35 million per year quarterback when he did an extension. I mean, actually, in 2018, Rodgers did a 4-year extension. 2019, Wilson did a 4-year extension. Jared Goff and Carson Wentz did 4-year extensions, but they had 2 years left on the rookie contracts. So it was after year 3 that their first-round picks had the 5th-year option. Deshaun Watson, after Patrick Mahomes, did a 4-year extension, his original deal, the one with the Texans. But you also then had Josh Allen do a 6-year extension The most recent high-end deals at near the top of the market, you had Rodgers do a three-year deal. But you had Kyler Murray, 5-year extension. You had Russell Wilson, 5-year extension. He had 2 years left, so 5 new years. Murray had 2 years left, 5 new years. I thought he might do a 4 as opposed to a 5. Now, that's probably the biggest concession that Hurts made in this deal, was giving the Eagles a 5th year. Now, this is a deal that pretty much has been expected ever since the media day with the Super Bowl, because Jeffrey Lurie basically said that they were sold on Hurts and he had nothing left to prove to be viewed as a long-term solution at quarterback, and he was just what they were looking for. So him getting done and being the first quarterback done this offseason from guys on rookie contracts is not a surprise. Plus, that's kind of the Eagles' MO, and it's been that way for a long time. Howie Roseman, who was mentored by the executive vice president, general manager of the Eagles, who was mentored by former longtime president Joe Banner, started that practice when he was running the franchise. They'd lock up core players well in advance of free agency, and the Eagles have continued that practice with Jalen Hurts. Now, some people might be a little surprised he's the highest paid player in the league. I'm not. I figured worst case scenario for him was going to be becoming the second highest paid player, which is Russell Wilson at $49 million per year. Wilson signed a 5-year, $245 million extension during the 2022 preseason. So I figured worst case scenario was $49 million, but probably, and if he didn't top Aaron Rodgers, he'd hit 50. Figured 50 would probably be the minimum, and he's at $51 million per year to potentially be $54 million per year. Now, it's a 1.5% increase over the Rodgers average. So this is the type of deal that I was really anticipating for Jalen Hurts. Plus, kudos have to go to his agent, Nicole Lynn, the biggest deal ever done by a female agent, which is in a male-dominated world. So hats off to Nicole Lynn for getting the deal done for Jalen Hurts. So what does this Hurts deal mean for the quarterback marketplace? Well, there are 3 guys that come to mind in terms of the deal potentially having effects or ramifications. Now, first one we'll talk about is Lamar Jackson. It's going to mean less to him than it will for Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Here's why. We already know that Lamar Jackson had been looking at that Deshaun Watson deal as a benchmark, and by all accounts had wanted a fully guaranteed contract. Well, Hurts didn't get a fully guaranteed contract, was never going to get a fully guaranteed contract from the Eagles. If Hurts had wanted a fully guaranteed contract, he'd been playing out his rookie contract and probably having to play on 2 franchise tags and go the Kirk Cousins route in order to try to get a fully guaranteed contract where he would not be getting it until 2026 when he was unrestricted. Now, Lamar Jackson turned down an offer when negotiations were cut off right before the start of the 2020 regular season that was $250 million, 5-year extension, average $50 million per year. There's 133 fully guaranteed at signing. Now, the piece that was not originally reported, which has since been clarified, was how much was guaranteed for injury at signing, where it was going to convert to fully guaranteed at some point, because there's no way that the Ravens were going, at the time I was saying there's no way the Ravens were going to do something for Lamar where it's just the full guarantee, and that was the total guarantee going to be more given how they've structured deals for everybody else at a high end. Ronnie Stanley, Marlon Humphrey, Mark Andrews, and then subsequently Roquan Smith. Turns out that the injury guarantee is $175 million. So, and then another $25 million that could become guaranteed. It wasn't guaranteed for injury. March 2026, which is modeled after that Kyler Murray $29.5 million. So $200 million that could be guaranteed. Only 175, not only, but 175 million was guaranteed for injury at signing. So here are the takeaways from Hurts deal. That they're probably going to have to top 51 million per year. They're at 50. The Ravens typically don't like to set a market, even though they did that with Roquan Smith. What their MO had been is, we won't make you the highest paid guy, but we'll make you the second highest paid guy, or the third highest paid guy, but we'll give you phenomenal structure, which is what they did with Mark Edwards on his 4-year extension, or we'll give you guarantees that are far superior to everybody else, which was Ronnie Stanley, because Ronnie Stanley's deal averaged $19.75 million per year on a 5-year extension, whereas Larry Tunsil was a 22, but he still has the most amount of total guarantees and full guarantees for an offensive lineman, even though that deal was done in 2020. But I suspect for Lamar, one, they'll have to make a concession to go above the 51 million. The injury guarantee is now below Hurts is 179.304 million, so they have to top that. As far as what was reported, we don't know if Hurts has any additional money which becomes guaranteed. So one thing we did later find out is that maybe Lamar does not need a fully guaranteed contract, but wants to top the total guarantees of Watson. He's probably going to have to give on that, because more and more that Watson deal looks like an outlier. So if there's going to be a long-term deal done, it's probably going to be more along the lines of a standard traditional deal for Lamar Jackson. Hurts has a traditional contract. I suspect Burrow and Herbert will have a traditional contract, but it'll have less of an impact on him than it will the other two guys. And the reason I say that is Burrow and Herbert were in the same draft class, 2020 first-round picks, whereas Hurts was a 2020 second-round pick. Now, I don't know which one of these two gets done first, Burrow or Herbert. They are both have open contract discussions, but we do know that as soon as the Bengals were eliminated, they made it very clear that he was going to be a priority this offseason. Burrow was. They don't necessarily have to do it, and that was when they lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Burrow's scheduled to make $5,545,018 this year on a $11,550,043 cap number. His fifth-year option is $29.504 million. Has to be picked up by the May 2nd deadline. Now, there are some unique challenges, so to speak, with the Bengals deal, which relates to the structure. He's not going to get a fully guaranteed contract either. That's not happening. But the Bengals in the dark ages when it comes to structuring contracts for veteran players. They are one of two teams where the only guaranteed money is a signing bonus. That the Bengals don't do traditional base salary guarantees. What they will do is they'll give you a third or fifth day of the league year roster bonus in the second year. If it's a big enough deal, the third year, which is not guaranteed, which is supposed to substitute for additional guarantees. So the overall guarantees typically are less in Bengals deals than in comparable deals. If you try that with Joe Burrow, you are not getting a deal done. You're going to have to do what Pittsburgh did. Pittsburgh used to be one of these teams which was like the Packers and the Bengals. The Packers have made one exception for Aaron Rodgers. So they're going to have to make a Joe Burrow exception for him in Cincinnati, like Green Bay did with Aaron Rodgers, where he had traditional salary guarantees when nobody else did. Pittsburgh didn't do that until T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt When he became the league's highest paid non-quarterback in 2021, they gave him $80 million fully guaranteed signing, which is still a record for non-quarterbacks. So I suspect that the Bengals are going to have to set a new precedent in order to get a deal done where he's got traditional guarantees. Now, would they make him the highest paid player? Well, there's a precedent that they would. They had a guy that was the first overall pick, just like Burrow was in 2020, 17 years earlier, Carson Palmer. And right before the end of his third regular season in 2005, and back then rookie contracts could be extended after 2 years, they made Carson Palmer the league's highest paid player. So Jalen Hurts' reign as the highest paid player in the league will be short-lived because Joe Burrow will top him based on what they did for Carson Palmer. So the only question is, will it be a 5-year extension? As I was saying earlier, the other ones had been 4 years. Now, this will apply to Justin Herbert as well, what I'm about to say. Hurts is under contract for 6 years through 2028. Now, Burrow and Herbert have 2 years left on their contracts thanks to the 5th-year option. In order for them to be up at the same time as Hurts, they can only do a 4-year extension. 6 total contract years. 2 existing plus 4 is 6. Hurts, contract year plus 5 new years, 6. That'd be a point I'd be making as the agent, that I want to do a 4 because I don't want to be tied to you any longer than Hurts is. Same for Herbert. And the reason is that the new media rights deals are really going to kick in. $113 billion over 11 years, and you're going to have an influx of gambling revenue. All the money that you had to borrow from the future because of the COVID year should be paid back, I think, at the end of this year. If not, it'll be 2024. And the cap's going to start really increasing substantially. So you want to be in the best position possible to take advantage of that. In order to do that, you really want to give up no more than 4 years. And particularly because you already have 2 years left on your contract, it means more to do a 4-year extension for Burrow and Herbert than it does for Hurts. Now, I don't know which one of these two goes first, Burrow or Herbert, but I suspect it's going to be kind of what happened with in 2018 with Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack. Both these guys had to play through 4 years, and then they were heading into their 5th-year option. We both knew they were going to be the first $20 million per year non-quarterbacks. We just didn't know who would come out on top. Aaron Donald did a deal right after all the preseason games were done, and he signed for $22.5 million per year. The ink was barely dry on his contract, and then when Khalil Mack was traded from the Raiders to the Bears, it shows you how quickly a deal can get done. And it took less than 48 hours to get that deal done, and Khalil Mack came in at $23.5 million per year. So whichever one of these two goes last will have the higher average. They're both going to end up being the highest paid player in the league at some point. It's just a question of which one is at the end of these two, because I'm anticipating Lamar Jackson is not getting a deal done unless he's willing to make substantial concessions. So Herbert's is a little unique to me from the standpoint that he's got something he can point to that may make this negotiation a little more difficult. He was a 6th overall pick in 2020 and was Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2020. He individually, the stat compiler, has the most passing yards ever for a quarterback's first 3 NFL seasons at 14,089. 94 touchdown passes, are second behind Dan Marino in his first 3 years. But they don't really win. They're 25-24 in the 49 games he started. They blew a 27-point lead to the Jaguars in a wild card playoff game they lost. They have not won a playoff game in his 3 years. Burrow has gotten to a Super Bowl. Burrow has 5 playoff wins. But that's not going to matter. If he goes after Burrow, he'll top him. He's scheduled to make $4,234,275 this year on an $8,456,876 salary cap number. Has the same fifth-year option as Burrow at $29.504 million. And Tom Telesco, the general manager, called exercising it a formality. Now, he's not getting a fully guaranteed contract either. That's out of the question. This is a family-run business, the Chargers, owned by the Spanos family. There is no way possible they could ever meet the NFL's archaic funding rules where you basically got to stick all the future guarantees in escrow. They can't top that kind of cash. They couldn't even pay his signing bonus in a lump sum. Signing bonus was $16,890,004. Wasn't paid in a lump sum. It was paid in 4 installments. The last installment came on March 15th, 2021. Not going to be a fully guaranteed contract here either. Another deal which isn't going to help Lamar Jackson's case. So you're going to have 3 rookie contracts, no fully guaranteed contract. So Deshaun Watson's going to look more like an outlier. But there's going to be one potential problem I see for Justin Herbert deal. Because I know if I represented him, I would be shoving what you did for Joey Bosa down their throat, the Chargers' throat. Now, what does Joey Bosa have to do with anything? Well, in 2020, they made Joey Bosa the highest paid non-quarterback by a decent margin. Averaged $27 million per year on a 5-year extension. And had great cash flow. It was a player-friendly structure. He still has the most overall guarantees for a non-quarterback at $102 million. And $78 million was fully guaranteed at contract at signing, which at the time was the most. It's now second to T.J. Watt. But man, it is a player-friendly structure that after each of the new years, man, it's great cash flow. So the highest paid guy was Myles Garrett, who it hadn't been that long ago when he had signed. Then Bosa topped him. He's at $25 million per year. That's an 8% increase. So if I'm his agent, I'm like, hey, you're doing for me what you did for Bosa. I play the more important position. We're similarly situated as far as I would be concerned. Bosa was NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, but then had some durability concerns. They waited until he was heading into his option year to get the deal done. So he played 4 years. That's because of the injuries, or they would have done it sooner. So if you can do this for a non-quarterback, I'm the face of the franchise, I want 8% more than the highest paid guy. So let's say he goes second and it's Hurts, who's at $51 million. That's basically going to put him at $55 million. That, I would keep hammering that point home, that you've got to treat me at least like you did Bosa, if not better. Now, that may subject you to not getting a 4, but a 5, because Bosa did a 5. But if you took that and extrapolated Bosa's deal out, then you're going to have very strong guarantees. You're going to have substantially more fully guaranteed at signing than Hurts, who's at 110. You're going to be over probably close to 165 fully guaranteed at signing, and well over 200 million total guarantees, given if you're going to plug how they structured Bosa's deal into a $55 million per year contract. That's the argument I would make, and I would keep hammering them home on that point if I represented Herbert. We'll see if that actually happens. We'll see who gets done first, Burrow or Herbert. But Cincinnati, if they do Burrow, they're going to establish a new precedent in terms of guarantees. Whichever one goes last gets the higher average. Lamar Jackson, none of these deals are going to help. Hurts isn't going to be as much of a benchmark for him as it will be for these guys, because these guys will be doing traditional deals. Jackson's going to have to make a concession. in terms of on the guarantee portion to get a deal done. So we'll see if he gets one done as well. But either way, the quarterback market is still going to change even more this offseason, because I suspect there will at least be 2 more deals done, Burrow and Herbert. And by the time it's all said and done, the best Hurts will be the 3rd highest paid guy in the league. And that's just the nature of the beast. High-end contracts, I always said, were made to be surpassed. You don't wait for at least to me, you don't wait for something else that could happen in the marketplace. If you negotiate your deal, and if it's what you want and you're getting a deal that you're satisfied with, you do it. That's what Hurts did. Based on the reports, excellent deal for him. We'll see the total breakdown of the cash flow, see how player friendly it is. But if it's a traditional Philadelphia deal, it's not going to be overly backloaded. It's going to look good for Nicole Lynn. So she, by all accounts, has done a great job, and I suspect that'll still be the case once all the details are out on this deal. Well, that's going to be this week's Inside the Cap. Don't forget, you can find me on Twitter. That's Corey Joel, CORRY JOEL. And you can check out my work at cbssports.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.